friends prepare to gather in support of Rumeysa Öztürk. The Department of Homeland Security has now confirmed she's been sent to an ICE detention center in Louisiana, which flies in the face of a federal judge who ruled she should not leave Massachusetts without prior notification.
Yeah, they're also actively violating court orders, setting up for a constitutional battle that I think is going to determine the next phase of fascism in this country. There are an estimated 2,000 people apparently at this rally that took place a couple hours prior at the Rumeysa rally. I don't know what to say. And they always send them to Louisiana because the judge in Louisiana is more favorable and will make insane decisions, for the record. I told my MAGA mom about Khalil, and she was very alarmed and disgusted, and also told me there are several things she's upset about that this administration has done. The MAGA movement is falling apart. I wouldn't say that it's falling apart, but I do want you to watch this. I want you to watch this, and I want you to understand that this is straight up Gestapo shit, okay? Like, this is not an exaggeration. What they are doing in broad daylight, plainclothes officers running up.
You guys covering your faces? You want to take those masks off? Is this a kidnapping? Yeah, you don't look like it. Why are you hiding your faces? Why are you hiding your face?
If you're processing a lawful order, you should not be ashamed of your identity. I'm kind of confused, actually.
Can I see some faces here? How do I know this is the police? Seems like bullshit to me. Certainly looks like it.
The horrific moment that Tufts grad student and anti-war activist Rumeysa Öztürk was detained and kidnapped by Trump's ICE thugs. Imagine a bunch of fucking random mass dudes in broad daylight approach you like this, and then they just cover you from all sides, just snatching you in the middle of the fucking day. A real kidnapping. Like, this is not an exaggeration. When I say fascism is here in the United States of America, I mean it. It is not an exaggeration at all. That's precisely what's going on. She says, call Fatima to her friend. Yeah. Consider this. 6 people in plainclothes approach you and begin to cover their faces. At least one appears armed. As they grab your phone and backpack, they do not prove who they are. They say they're going to take you, but they're not saying why. What would you call that? I really do think that I really thought that there would have been more motion against this sort of stuff. I don't know what it will take for people to actively start putting up a fight against this. Not from the people. Protests are erupting. The people are mad. We're mad. You're mad. The people are protesting. They're taking to the streets. That's not the issue. That's not my issue at all. There's a lot of people that are protesting. What I'm talking about is like Democrats, even Republicans. Like, this is a severe violation of the American Constitution in the most meaningful way, in ways that will, I guess, I'll explain it this way. Americans are selfish. We're self-interested people. We don't care about people outside of our immediate periphery. Barely do we care about others. A violation of the Constitution of this sort actually has the capacity to harm every single American. This is why I'm saying, like, people have to start recognizing that this is going to harm them as well. Even if they don't care about the humanity of Mahmoud Khalil or Rumeysa Öztürk, even if they think like, oh, well, these guys have strange sounding names, they have to understand that a government that can do this to these people, they will inevitably do it to you as well. It's not fear mongering. It's simply the expectation at this point. Because the reason why they're starting with like foreign sounding names, or the reason why was she supporting Hamas though? Bitch, what the f do you mean even if she literally was, even if she was like, oh my God, I love Hamas. Hamas is my favorite. Hamas is my best friend. You can't do this. The f are you talking about? What do you mean? Was she supporting Hamas though? Like, what kind of question is this? No, there is no conciliatory statement here. You can't concede. I couldn't even finish my point. My point is that one, they're lying about that anyway. And two, it doesn't even matter under the current existing constitutional protections. It doesn't matter if she's like, I love Hamas. Hamas is my best friend. If she was running around saying that, you still can't do this. And the reason why you can't do this is because you don't want people to start making decisions on what you say being considered inappropriate to the degree where they can justify deporting you without due process. Revoke your citizenship status without due process. Do you not comprehend this? When there's no due process, there's no checks, there's no assessment. They just claim something and then they lock you up. That's the entire problem with the erosion of due process and a direct violation of court orders. God damn, you're so dumb. People that lean into this like, well, there must have been a real reason for this. They're so dumb. They're believing that a world, they're believing in a world and a system that doesn't exist. They think like, well, there's probably some good reason. Otherwise, why would the government do such a thing? Wake the fuck up. It's because you're overreacting about it. If she's a green card holder, a visa holder, then yes, they can. Doesn't apply to green card. No, that's not true. You're wrong. You're actually wrong. This is what's so frustrating about it. No, you're just objectively wrong. It absolutely does apply to green card holders or visa holders. You know what? I'll take it one step further. It applies to illegal immigrants. Yes, it is. You're wrong. No, I'm not. And if I wasn't wrong, there would be no problems. No court system that says, hey, you can't do this. Do you understand? No, you're just a fucking moron who doesn't know the law. They 100% are not allowed to do this to even non-citizens. Think about that. Who told you that this is actually within the legal confines of the federal government? Tell me right now. Who did you get this information from? Because they're lying to you. You don't need to be charged to have your visa or green card revoked. You cannot take away someone's visa or green card without any reason, okay? You can't do that. If that was the case, there wouldn't be so many checks before you get the visa or the green card. You cannot do that. You can't just like revoke people's citizenship or legal permanent residency status without any significant reason. You absolutely have to have a process where you justify why this is the appropriate method. These are not people that are being nabbed off the street for heinous crimes. Yes, not without any reason, but the Secretary of State holds a large power to revoke them. No, it is a fucking false understanding of it's a bullshit legal interpretation of a tool that has never been utilized, and you're dumb enough to believe that this is a real thing, okay? And no, you don't agree that they need to go through the process. I guess it's fine. No, it isn't. I've read the laws. No, you haven't. You don't understand anything, okay? The Secretary of State has the capacity to potentially revoke the citizenship status or revoke the immigration status or the legal permanent residency status of an individual on U.S. soil. That has an incredibly high bar to clear. Beyond that, that in and of itself is not a reasonable justification because this is a direct violation of the First Amendment. You are wrong. There is no law in the book that says, I don't like what you had to say, so the Secretary of State decided your citizenship is going to be revoked. This is before we even talk about the morality, because legality is not a substitute for morality. I know the legal interpretation argument that you are trying to make, it is incorrect. If that wasn't incorrect, no one would be able to say anything about it. That's why there is going to be potentially a Supreme Court case on this, okay? If this was well-established legal precedent, then there would be no question. It would be like, hey, if you kill someone, you go to jail. What do you mean? That's it. If there was a well-established legal ground, law in Mahmoud Khalil's case was once struck down by Trump's very own sister. Judge Marianne Trump, Barry, ruled that the law invoked against Mr. Khalil violated the Constitution by giving unfettered discretion to the Secretary of State. There's going to most likely be a Supreme Court case on this, and it's going to set the stage for American fascism. Agreed, needs to go to Supreme Court then? No, you can't turn around and be like, oh, sorry, it's in the rules, and then turn around and be like, okay, I agree, maybe it's not in the rules. If that was the case, then